This is going to be a build breakdown of the Capra, the TRX4 hardbody, the Axial SCX10-ii hardbody scale build, and the TRX4 belly dragger. Alright, this is my kit version of the 1.9 Capra. Starting in the front, we have the Vanquish F9 Curry front axle with the supplied Vanquish links. Sitting on top of that, we have the SCX10-ii SG Black Edition servo running on 7.4 volts. Running just cheap Amazon wheels with OT6 KLRM tires. Oh, probably not in focus. Oh, there we go. Okay. The stock shocks, they seem to work well for me. I like them. Good travel, good spring rate. Moving back, we have a Amazon all aluminum 3-gear transmission. Paired onto that, probably can't see it in there, but might get lucky. We have a Vanquish dig unit with a full-size SCX servo for the dig unit itself. Underneath we have just the stock Capra stainless links. In the front I am using the stock drive shaft because it keeps breaking, surprisingly enough, the aluminum drive shafts that, once again, Amazon. Gotta go cheap on the parts that are easily breakable because they're inexpensive. Then again, I guess if you were to buy good firsthand the first time around, maybe it'll sit longer. Who knows? I don't know. This setup is currently running the... I probably should have taken this off so we could see. Anyhow, it's running a Mamba X ESC with the Holmes Hobbies Revolver Snub Nose V2 motor, Outrunner, running it on 4S. In the rear, we're using the OEM plastic F9 Curry Capra axle. On top as well is the SCX10-ii SG. I really seem to enjoy this servo, also running at 7.4 volts. 4-wheel steer. Inside the receiver housing we are using the SR515 by Spectrum. It's really nice. I enjoy it. And just a regular brake light bar with the power switch located right here on the outside for easy access. It's really all there is to it. I painted the panels and added my own little vinyls to it. Certified ripper. Yeah, sure. Up next is the TRX4 LCG, stands for Low Center of Gravity. Chassis by Brazen Scale RC. This is a Mojave 2 hardbody. Trim to fit. This is for the 11.4 wheelbase, but this being a 12.3, had to trim the fenders and the bed itself. I do have now the Lexan windshield side window and rear window insert in place. It is only mounted in the front using Proline's what are they called? Secure lock fasteners. They twist on, lock it into place. In the rear, it is simply going under part of the chassis rail here, and it's being held from lifting up by the chassis rail itself and the lock in the front. Once again, starting in the front, we have a custom made, I'm not a very good welder, but I did make from scratch a front bumper which is mounted to the outside of the front of the chassis rail. Working back, we have the DSM Off-Road Recovery Kinetic Strap, or Kinetic Recovery Strap, I guess it's technically called. That's a fantastic addition to have on any truck. It's great, as long as you're not doing any kind of competition, scale competition. We have the NSDRC RS800 V2 servo, which is hardwired into the battery itself. So it's running on 4S, which it currently is. It's getting the 14.8 volts, which makes this thing absolutely phenomenal and strong as an ox. It really is. Running the stock TRX4 shocks with no springs, full droop setup. Absolutely love this setup. It's phenomenal. The dual servo mount for the front by Brazen Scale as well, printed by Shapeways, as well as the panhard mount. I'm using the, how am I doing this? It's a 3-link setup in the front for the suspension. Minor weight additions, I guess you could call them. The inner and outer portal covers, carriers. Working back, we're using the Castle 2280 slate motor. I believe it's a 1408. I don't remember exactly. This too is running the Mamba X ESC. The wiring, I haven't quite figured it out yet. It's just kind of zip tied and held in place. It's a fresh build. Bear with me. We are running the Bluetooth B-Link by Castle, so you can do everything from your phone and go from there. Underneath is the Brazen Scale TRX4 transmission adapter, so you can run it on the Brazen Scale chassis, which is, I believe, initially made for a Axial SCX base, but he creates and supplies a skid plate so you can use a TRX Traxxas transmission 2-speed, which we are currently using, only the 2-speed transmission. I deleted the front and rear locking differentials and put a spool in the front and rear. For this build, I really didn't need the opening and closing of the front and rear diffs. I just said, phooey, let's just run it like this and see how she does. So far, it's quite well. In the rear, we are also running a full droop setup. As you can see, it settles pretty slowly, running 80 weight in the front and rear. The tires themselves are very dirty, as you can see. The tires are what are they? The Crawler TAs. Inside of them are the dual stage foams by Proline as well. From the end to the back, that's, oh goodness, that's really about it. That's all I've really done to it, aside from the, once again, the aluminum drive shaft. This one is actually in the front of the truck instead of the rear. It just seems to work better that way. The rear is so short that you can't really use the aluminum ones that I currently possess, that is, because it doesn't allow it to get short enough. Then in the rear, I guess, last thing here is just the Brazen Scale chassis brace. SR 515 in this one as well. I guess I could do away with the 515 and go to a 315 and give myself a couple of more channels for another truck. Who knows? Let's see. Here's my current build that I am actually working on right before I started filming. This is a Axial SCX10-ii chassis with a RC 4-wheel drive, Mojave 2 extra cab, 313mm wheelbase. this one itself is actually a non-post visible, I don't know how you'd word it actually. There's no visible body mounts. It's actually all on the inside here. I made this plate last night, and it actually goes over the front body mounts. And then you pin it under the hood here. And then in the rear, it's basically just, it's 4 magnets that hold the rear down. So the front, and it flops off just like so. In the rear, I have a piece of steel that I actually super glued and then shoe glued in place. And on the chassis itself, the chassis rail is 4 magnets on a piece of steel that is shoe glued and screwed into the rear chassis brace of the truck itself. This is just an out-of-the-box kit. I shouldn't say out-of-the-box, but it is a kit that I actually put together recently, within the past day or two. All stock, except for the Hobbywing Quick Run Fusion, the 2-in-1, 1800 kilovolt, I believe. Is this the 18? Oh my goodness. I don't remember. Yes, I'm sorry. This is the 1800 kilovolt. Probably can't see it. It's tucked away in there pretty well. Running stock TRX4 shocks, front and rear. If you can't tell, I do like the TRX shocks. Simple enough to mount. Just open the hood, line up the body posts, and then it gets pinned here and here, here and here. Locks it into place, and then the rear, the magnets are actually quite strong considering that the front is not pinned in or held in place at all. Magnets are quite strong. This one still needs sanded, painted, windows tinted, so on and so forth. Doors and hood functional correctly. The only difference, or I shouldn't say difference, but the only thing that is not considered stock would be the wheels and tires. These are stock Capra wheels with 1.9, what are these, the MTZs? MTX, I'm sorry, MTX by OT6. It is a 4.19 size tire. I should say outer diameter is the 4.19 opposed to a stock, your typical 1.9 tire is 4.7 inches. This is 4.19 inches. Just to keep it more of a scale look. Also has the working bed. This body alone to put together was about a day and a half after work, but nevertheless a very large time consumer. A lot of small pieces. Like I said, it still needs painted. Still need to add the paint to the tail lights and the marker lights. I do want to tint the windows just because I like tinting windows. So we'll go from there, and that'll be in a video in the future. And last but certainly not least, at least in this video, is the TRX4 belly dragger. I always thought that the belly draggers looked really neat. Maybe not as functional as some of the others that I currently own, but fun to build nonetheless. Once again, starting in the front, this one is currently under construction as I am waiting on a new servo. I'm actually going with the NSDRC RS800 V2 as well with this one because I love it so much, but I ordered 2 of them because this one too is 4-wheel steer. It's overkill to put the RS800 in the rear, but I want to have the matching speed along with the matching power. This is a Power Wagon body. This too is running the Secure Lock body mount system. So simply twist it on. It runs dual up front. I'm a big fan of that system. I don't like having to use body clips. It scratches everything. And anyways, It is mounted here in the front and then magnets on the inside that go into the frame rail in the rear. That is not a pretty setup. Sorry. Starting in the front, we have your typical brass weight, inner and outer portal covers, as well as... Actually, no, that's it on this one. I forgot. I removed the C-hubs because I didn't like that much brass on the end of a plastic housing. So, call me weird. I may be dumb. Might be overthinking it. Who knows? This too is running the DSM recovery strap, the kinetic recovery strap. Beautiful setup. Starting with the tires and wheels up front, these are RC four-wheel drive deep dish 1.9s, running the Proline Hyrax tires. Really big fan of these tires as well. I'm sure most people who run them are. The motor setup we have in here is another Hobbywing Fusion. This one is the 1200 though. Only because this is a heavier unit. This one weighs in just under 7 pounds without a battery in it. It's only running 3S, but so we'll call it 7 pounds with the battery. Using the Spectrum, what is this? The SR6200 with telemetry receiver. Not a fan of that. Really want to swap that out because I don't want the... It automatically steers, and that's not the greatest thing to have in a crawler. I have found, at least. This one, it is spooled in the front, so it's a front all-time locked front differential. In the rear, we kept the locking diff in the rear just to use it as kind of like a knockoff dig function, because you can open the diff and it allows the front tires to grab while one wheel is slipping in the rear. It's surprisingly nice. Also kept the 2-speed transmission. This is a low center of gravity battery mount that I actually made myself because I don't mind buying parts, but if I can make it and learn something new in the process, why not? The the roll bar also is made by myself in, what is this, 1/8 inch, 3/32. I don't remember the exact size, but it is all handmade. Once again, not the world's greatest welder, but it holds and it looks pretty neat if I do say so myself. Currently, it has the Amazon Special 25 kilogram servo for the rear steer. It's got to go. I know they're cheap and I know it's nice to have them on hand, but after using the higher powered, I guess you would call it, the RS800 by NSDRC, or even the Savix 1268, I don't want to use these anymore because they're slower, and you really just flip a coin to see if you get a good one or a bad one. That's been my luck. I've bought 5 or 6 of these over the past however long, and 3 of them have been shot. 2 of them were due to this guy not setting endpoints correctly. 2 of them failed under load. It completely stripped out the gears on the inside, and 1 of them actually showed up DOA. This one is currently the only one that is still running and working correctly, but for my personal taste, I like to have matching, even if it is overkill in the rear. This is a axle mounted servo that I rigged together myself, actually, with just a piece of steel that is bolted to the axle housing itself, and then the servo is mounted to the mount. It seems to work okay. This is my original TRX4, actually. This was initially the, what was it? The Bronco, the TRX4 Bronco. And I still have the body here somewhere, but I'm not a big fan of the SUV style. So, turned it into this. And if you're not modding it, are you even having fun? I'm just... But, yeah. That's that. Waiting on parts, and that one should be good to go here in a little bit. That's all my trucks that I'm showing right now. I do have some bashers and some speed vehicles and so on and so forth. But this is really just to break down 4 of my current in-rotation rigs. My most used right now is actually the Capra. It is the most capable. If you watched my previous video, you would see that it just completely dominated the lines and the paths that were chosen. It did well even without using the 4-wheel steer. I tried to keep it as fair as possible, only using the front steer, only doing the easiest lines. So we'll go from there. This is, like I said, these are all fun trucks. The Capra seems to perform the best, but with any hobby, you can learn, you can play, you can practice, and everybody's going to have their own opinion on it. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you would. Remember, it's always appreciated but never expected. I'm going to have more videos upcoming. I got my new camera that I'm still playing with here, and new microphone, and we'll go from there. And thanks for watching. We'll see you later.